Harold Leighton. Audition. Violet Venable. Without me, he died last summer. That was his last summer's poem. One long ago summer. Now, why am I thinking of this? My son, Sebastian, said, "Listen to this." He read me Herman Melville's description of the Encantadas, the Galapagos Islands. Quote, "Take 25 heaps of cinders dumped here and there in an outside city lot. Imagine some of them magnified into mountains and the vacant lot, the sea, and you'll have a fit idea of the general aspect of the Encantadas, the enchanted isles, extinct volcanoes looking much as the world at large might look after a last conflagration," end quote. He read me that description and said that we had to go there. And we did go there that summer on a chartered boat, a four-masted schooner, as close as possible to the sort of a boat that Melville must have sailed on. We saw the Encantadas, but on the Encantadas, we saw something Melville hadn't written about. We saw the great sea turtles crawl up out of the sea for their annual egg laying. Once a year, the female of the sea turtle crawls up out of the equatorial sea onto the blazing sand beach of a volcanic island to dig a pit in the sand and deposit her eggs there. It's a long and dreadful thing, the depositing of the eggs in the sand pits. And when it's finished, the exhausted female crawls back to the sea half dead. She never sees her offspring, but we did. Sebastian knew exactly when the sea turtle eggs would be hatched out, and we returned in time for it. Terrible Encantadas, those heaps of extinct volcanoes, in time to witness the hatching of the sea turtles and their desperate flight to the sea. The narrow beach, the color of caviar, was all in motion. But the sky was in motion too, full of flesh-eating birds, and the noise of the birds, the horrible, savage cries over the black, narrow beach of the Encantadas as the just hatched sea turtles scrambled out of the sand pits and started their race to the sea to escape the flesh-eating birds that made the sky almost as black as the beach. And the sand, all alive as the hatched egg turtles made their dash for the sea while the birds hovered and swooped to attack and hovered, swooped to attack. They were diving down on the hatched sea turtles, turning them over to expose their soft undersides, tearing the undersides open and rending and eating their flesh. Sebastian guessed that possibly only 1/100% of their number would escape to the sea. Mrs. Venable, did you have, oh, wrong line, sorry. That's the question I wanted you to ask. I haven't heard the girl's story except indirect in a watered down version, being too ill to go hear it directly. But I've gathered enough to know that it's a hideous attack on my son's moral character, which, being dead, he can't defend himself from. I have to be the defender. Now, listen to me. Before you hear whatever you're going to hear from the girl when she gets here, my son, Sebastian, was chaste. Not CHASED. Oh, he was chaste in the way of spelling it, too. We had to be very fleet footed, I can tell you, with his looks and charm to keep ahead of pursuers, every kind of pursuer. I mean, he was CHASTE, chaste. And you believe me, don't you? Oh, he was 40, maybe. We don't count birthdays here. And he lived a celibate life as strictly as if he'd vowed to. That sounds like vanity, doctor, but really, I was actually the only one in his life that satisfied the demands he made on people. Time after time, my son would let people go, dismiss them because their attitude toward him was. My son, Sebastian, demand. We were a famous couple. People didn't speak of Sebastian and his mother or Mrs. Venerable and her son. They said, Sebastian and Violet. Sebastian and Violet are staying at the Lido. They're at the Ritz in Madrid. Sebastian and Violet and Sebastian have taken a house at Ritz for the season. And every appearance, every time we appeared, attention was centered on us. Everyone else eclipsed. Vanity? Oh, no, doctor, you can't call it that. It wasn't folie de grandeur. It was grandeur, an attitude toward life that's hardly been known in the world since the great Renaissance princes were crowded out of their palaces and gardens by successful shopkeepers. Most people's lives, what are they but trails of debris? Each day, more debris, long, long trails of debris with nothing to clean it up. But finally, death. My son, Sebastian, and I constructed our days. Each day, we would carve out each day of our lives like a piece of sculpture. Yes, we left behind us a trail of days like a gallery of sculpture.